Hello and welcome to another free History Online video. Today we're going to be looking at Elizabeth and we're going to be looking at the problem of Mary, Queen of Scots. Welcome to our lesson then. And in this lesson we're going to be looking, as I said, at the problem of Mary, Queen of Scots. We're going to revise some of the key content, particularly links to the themes of religion and rebellions. And we're going to be then looking at the write an account question. It's not really our favourite, is it? So let's look at how we can do this quite easily and successfully. But firstly, let's have a little quiz on your knowledge. Here we are then. Here's our quiz, and take a look through these questions. Get yourself a bit of scrap paper if you like, or just have a little think in your head about the answers. If any of these you'd like thinking, well, I don't know any of them, I don't know any of this, so do look at my revision video on Mary Queen of Scots and then come back to it and see how well you know your stuff. So pause me now and give it a go. Right, let's go to these answers then. So which rebellion took place in 1569? Northern Rebellion. It's the one you probably need to know the most about because it's actually an active rebellion. Which nobleman was to marry Mary Queen of Scots after the Northern Rebellion? Maybe become king with Mary becoming queen? It's going to be Norfolk, obviously a Catholic noble. Which Northern Earls organised an army? Well, you got Westmoreland and Northumberland. And where was a mass held during the Northern Rebellion? Well, Durham, of course. Hopefully you'll remember that from your knowledge. And what was Norfolk's punishment for this Northern Rebellion? Well, he wasn't too involved. He'd sort of asked to marry Mary Queen of Scots. Elizabeth said no, so he fled from court, and that inspired the rebellion. He didn't really get too involved in it. He just disobeyed the Queen and ran away from court. So he's put 10 months in town, 10 months under house arrest. So not fully involved, therefore his head stayed on his shoulders. And who plotted to overthrow Elizabeth in 1571? Well, Roberto Ridolfi. How was the Norfolk punished after Ridolfi's plot? Well, he was executed. He was much more involved in that plot, much more paperwork saying he was involved. And again, he was going to become king and marry Mary at the end. Name 4 plots or rebellions to replace Mary Queen of Scots on the throne. So you've got the Northern Rebellion, Ridolf plot we just talked about. We've also got the Throckmorton plot and the Babington plot. Obviously, the Babington plot is the one that finally gets her head chopped off, where she tries to have Elizabeth executed in 1586, and then Elizabeth obviously turned around and after putting on trial, eventually decides to have Mary executed instead, and that links to the Spanish Armada, of course. Okay. Well, I hope your quiz went successfully. If not, do look back at our revision notes and try and revise a little bit more. Maybe before you go on to the exam question, I'll put a little information bar up on the screen to help you find the revision quiz and notes. And I'll do look at our quizzes notes as well to help you with that. But now over to those writing account skills. Here we are then with our write an account question, and we're going to look at this particular question. Write an account of the ways in which Mary Queen of Scots caused problems for Elizabeth. And it's quite nice and easy, this one, really, because it's got an end part to it, caused problems for Elizabeth. So we know what we can focus on. Sometimes they're a bit more general, write an account of Mary Queen of Scots. That would be a bit more tricky, but that leaves you open to talk about Mary Queen of Scots caused problems, Mary Queen of Scots did this, and leaves it a bit more open for you, which is quite nice in some ways. So what's the success criteria for this question? Maybe have a think if you like. How would you answer this question? And then I'm going to go through some ideas. So again, whenever you like, you can pause me to stop to think about things. But let's have a go. So firstly, remember, write an account of, let's get rid of that, think about it as an explain question. And then that makes it easier. Explain the ways in which Mary Queen of Scots was a problem. So explain using 2 peel paragraphs. When in your peel paragraphs, give an example of a Mary action and explain the problem caused by this. So the write an account style really means evidence or event, then consequence. That's the writing account idea you're doing. But that still turns into a peel paragraph, really. It's evidence, then explanation of consequence. Explain 2 problems, of course, for the 8 marks. And explain a wider link using your wider knowledge. So how would we do this then? Obviously, we're going to look to do it in our peel style. So we're going to be making our point, Repeat the question back. One way Mary caused problems for Elizabeth was that. Okay, and introduce an idea, introduce an argument. We want to explain, so try not to go straight into story writing with Mary did this, because you'll end up just writing a story and your consequences and events might not be clear and it might not be well explained. So set an argument up at the start. One way that Mary caused problems for Elizabeth was that she led rebellions. Okay, quite simple, I know, but it will keep you more focused. One way Mary caused problems for Elizabeth was that she had to change her religious policies. Okay, much more advanced and get you more marks. So looking for that, repeat the question, set up an argument. Then, for example, Mary did. Give an action Mary did, give her event. Okay, then explain. This caused problems for Elizabeth because. Then a wide link. Furthermore, this led to, and then give wider actions Elizabeth had to do. Elizabeth had to do other things, or other people involved, or other places were involved. So you're talking about rebellions. You've got a rebellion, and then you've got maybe a wider action of other rebellions, and then you can maybe even link as far as the Spanish Armada after the execution of Mary. So you can link quite far, if you like, and go into a quite advanced explanation of story of consequences. So let's give this a go. So here's the point I've chosen. One way that Mary caused problems for Elizabeth was that she caused plots and rebellions against Elizabeth. If you like, you can pause here and think about your example. What do you think would be a good example to just back this up quickly? What Mary action took place? Okay, so here's my idea. For example, Mary arrived in England in 1568 and straight away Catholics started to plot to put her on the throne. So now I'm going to be saying this caused problems for Elizabeth because, right, what would you explain as your problems? Maybe you can finish the paragraph off. Maybe give an explanation of problems and then give a furthermore, perhaps. Have a think about what you do next. Right, here's my idea. This caused problems for Elizabeth because the Northern Rebellion started in 1569 and an army of 4,000 rebels threatened to overthrow Elizabeth. After this rebellion was crushed, 3 more major plots developed: Ridolfi, Throckmorton, and Babington plots. I think I've explained there, haven't I? Consequences without necessarily a story. I've explained rebellions caused problems for Elizabeth and developed the idea there. I can now do a furthermore. I can probably link this to an execution in the Spanish Armada. Furthermore, this led to a long-term problem for Elizabeth, as after the Babington plot, it was clear that Mary had to be executed. After Mary was executed in 1587, Elizabeth had a problem with Spain, planning an armada to invade England to remove Elizabeth as Queen of England. That answer gives a nice wider link of a long-term time development and how Mary eventually, due to her rebellions, causes the Spanish Armada. Okay. So now your turn. Have a think about another idea. Does she destroy her religion and middle way by Elizabeth having to react to Mary's rebellions? You've already talked about rebellions quite a lot. You could talk about how it's a Catholic queen who's coming to succession and then is causing problems for Elizabeth because she has to control the Catholics who are rebelling, like Norfolk and Westmoreland and Northumberland, who are Catholic nobles. And that could be a little bit of a shorter paragraph, but link you quite to a bigger, wider issue of religion. I'll leave you to have a go at that. Well, I hope today's lesson was really successful for you and you've learnt about Mary Queen of Scots and you've developed your top-level, top-notch grade 9 skills and you're able to explain a range of factors around Mary Queen of Scots. Now, the write an account question you can adapt quite easily for anything from write an account of the Northern Rebellion, write an account of Essex Rebellion, write an account of the career of Cecil. Anything in the topic you can pretty much put write an account in front of. So how I practice is lots of those questions. Think about what 2 things would you explain? Okay, bye-bye for now.